Hey, in the last lesson we chose a physical device. Now we need to wrap this physical device into the so-called logical device. Technically we picked the first device from suitable devices, but here you can also sort this list and score the devices based on different properties or features. For example, you can pick GPUs rather than CPUs. Anyway, we can now go to the header file and create this new function called create logical device and queues. Logical device is created along with the queues that you want to use. And go into the CPP file and create an implementation for this function. The first thing we will do is find the queue families again for the picked physical device. Then we're going to make a queue create info variable. We initialize the S type to the correct value. And we set the queue family index to the graphics family index value. We can also check if the families are valid just for sanity and exit the application if they're not. We will need one queue of the graphics type, so we can set the queue count to 1. We also need to set the priorities for each queue, but this is out of the scope of this lesson. I'll create a variable of 1 and set the PQ priorities to the others of this variable. Now that we have the queue creation ready, we can also initialize our device creation info. We can select which physical device features we will use. I'll set this to a 0 initialization, but you can also set it to the actual device features. We learned how to get them earlier in the course. Now we initialize the device create info. Again, we start with the S type. Then we set the queue create info count to 1. And we pass in the others to the graphics queue info object from above. To the queue create info's pointer. We set the pointer to the enabled features to the required features object that we specified. We will not enable any device extensions at this point, so we set the count to 0. And we create the same for the layer count. The layer count is deprecated for newer Vulkan versions, and the debug messengers that we created will notify us for device error as well. Finally, we can call vk create device by passing in the physical device. And here I realize that I've not followed the convention and the physical device needs to end with an underscore. I correct this from the header. Now we also need a member field for the logical device as well. The logical device struct is just called device, but we will name the member to reflect the meaning. Back at the create device function, we will need to pass the device info address, no allocator, and the address to the logical device field. We can check that the result was a success and exit if it wasn't. In the destructor, we need to call destroy device for the logical device. Let's check if everything is correct. And here I've actually made a small mistake. We need to exit if the families are not valid. I can build and run this code. We don't get any validation messages, so for now we assume that it is all correct. This is it for creating the logical device and queues.